What's wrong with you guys? There's something wrong with these pigs. You see, this guy here, he is a kune boar. See that upturned nose? The guy back there, IPP boar, also nice upturned nose. We specifically bought these pigs, grazing pigs, so they wouldn't do that. All that grass you see behind me that's been tore up, rooting. Pigs are notorious for rooting, but these pigs aren't supposed to be. Because we are a cow-first farm, we want our pastures to be in really good shape, not tore up in craters like you see behind me. And that's why in the first place we decided to get grazing style pigs. What's wrong with them? Well, I think I know what's wrong with them. The real question is, can I fix it? We used to raise big pink Yorkshire landrace pigs, commercial style pigs, and we actually really liked those pigs. I have zero problems with Yorkshire landrace, pink pigs, commercial style pigs. We would never ever discourage someone from going that route in their pig farming, or pretty much any pig breed. You know, if you know why you're choosing a breed, you like the reasons you're choosing that breed, awesome. We decided to get kunis a while back, really only because they're small and gentle, and my middle son wanted pigs. He's a little guy, we didn't want to have big pigs, so we went the kuni route. Then we learned about the fact that they're good at grazing, they're not as hard on pastures, and eventually that wound us learning about the Idaho pastured pig, which also are a grazing pig. It's supposed to be good on pastures, not tear up pastures like what you see behind me. Now, no matter what kind of pig you're raising, every pig has some basic needs, things that you need to make sure it's getting. One need that every animal has, every creature has, is nutrients. Name that movie. Give me no nutrients. One of the things you have to consider when feeding any animal is making sure that the feed you're giving that animal is not only giving it the amount of carbohydrates and protein that that animal needs, but also that it's getting the minerals that it needs. Often with pigs, you'll hear people say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna get some pigs for my homestead and I'm gonna feed spent brewer's grain. There's a brewer not far from me who will give me it for free. Or there's a bakery not far from me and it'll give me a bunch of donuts for free. And that's great. Food waste is a legitimate problem that pigs help solve. Even here on our homestead, pigs are helping to solve a food waste issue. We have 5 human children, and by nature they can be wasteful at the dinner table, at the lunch table. And so every time we finish a meal, we have some food that got wasted in one way or another. And it's great to have a slop bucket to feed our pigs. But one of the things you have to be careful about is when you're supplementing a pig's diet with slop, spent brewer's grain, something from the bakery down the street, that it's just that, a supplement to an already well-established feeding program. Your pigs need to have a good quality feed. They are not ruminants. Even a grass grazing pig like a kune or a IPP needs more than what your pasture can give it. It needs a good quality feed, and in a good quality feed you will find minerals. I'm working on a fence line today that will hopefully keep the pigs in during the winter time. We're going to experiment with some winter paddocks and things this year. We'll see. Back in Connecticut when we were raising big pink pigs, it was easy to ensure that they were getting the right amount of minerals because we were giving them a pig feed. We raised them in a very small area. They did not have much supplement to their diet other than the pig feed that we were buying them. And their pig feed had all the right vitamins and minerals that you want in a pig. Here, things are a bit trickier, and this is a problem that probably a lot of newer grazing pig owners are going to experience. Idaho pastured pig or a kune or any other pig that's out on pasture that is getting a lot of forage in its diet, making sure they're getting the right amount of minerals can be tricky. Although you would think having them out on nature, on pasture, this is the way it's meant to be. You would think they would be better off. That's not always the case. We live in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is notorious for being deficient in certain minerals, for example, selenium. Comment below if you're a farmer in Pennsylvania and you've dealt with a selenium deficiency in your livestock. That was one of the reasons why we couldn't get our cows to get or stay bred. And now here's where things get really tricky. Back in Connecticut, our pigs were getting just pig feed, so they were getting the correct amount of minerals. The minute you throw a pig out on pasture, now it's getting a lot of forage from that pasture, so it's not eating as much pig feed as, for example, the pigs we raised in Connecticut that were only getting pig feed. And so it's not going to get all the minerals it should if your pasture is deficient. And like I said, it's very easy for a pasture to be deficient in some minerals. So generally speaking, you have to add more minerals to pig feed if your pigs are pastured, not less. And that's where things can get a little bit tricky. Not every pasture is deficient in the same minerals, so it might depend on where you are and what you have locally. But you definitely have to give it some extra attention. And that brings us to the problem that I'm facing right now with these pigs and why they are rooting up my soil. When you see pigs rooting, you have to ask yourself, okay, why are they rooting? If, for example, you dump their feed out on the ground and their feed is, falling into the cracks and crevices of all the grass and, stones and things, and they're rooting to get at the feed, okay, that's an obvious reason. But why are they rooting in a pasture where there's no feed? There's no obvious reason. Well, there could be weeds, and weeds pull minerals from down deep with their roots and they store them up at the surface. And then a pig finds that weed and it eats it and it digs up its roots to try to eat the whole weed. Basically, a pig that's rooting, a pastured pig that's rooting, is doing so because it's looking for more minerals. And why is it looking for more minerals? Well, because it's low on minerals and its body is telling it, go find more. If your pigs are rooting and they're like an Idaho pastured pig or a cooney, a pig that traditionally doesn't root, they could be telling you that they're low on minerals. Now, things get even more complicated here in the fall. I'm gonna play you a short clip from an interview that I did with Jody from White Bison Farm. And despite the fact that they're White Bison Farm, they were at one point in time the largest, still might be the largest breeder of Idaho pastured pigs in the world. Jody and Dave talked to us about something that they have noticed years and years of breeding pastured pigs as far as minerals and deficiency and fall. You can tell by the beautiful trees that are behind me. We're deep in the throes of fall here. It's October, almost November. There's a problem that they noticed come fall time. Let's listen.
This is a first-time mom, so this is her first litter. And, obviously she had a nice big litter for her first litter. They're doing absolutely fantastic. This group's actually ready to be weaned, but by default, we didn't need her pen, so they're gonna stay a little bit longer with their mom. But you can see, like, their pastures, they're beautiful, they're green, everyone's eating, everyone's grazing. What we'd like to kind of demonstrate for you is if we're gonna walk to a different pasture. I know I kind of touched on this just recently. Every year in September, we tend to see, the grass still looks green, it's still beautiful, but the nutritional value in it is decreasing. So we've found that we have to increase the minerals, usually for the month of September, and then it helps the pigs acclimate to the changes of the nutritional value in the grasses. This year, for reasons I don't really know why, this seems to have happened earlier than it normally has. So I'm going to show you kind of what happens when the pigs don't get enough minerals.
How do you know, what made you realize that the pasture was losing the quality that you talked about?
So that comes from the pigs telling us. So we watch their behavior, and as they start to change, if it's losing nutrition, they're going to start to root. Because they don't have the minerals, they're not getting everything they need from the grass. So at that point, we just change our minerals to the fall blend.
Can you see how this pasture right here is all tore up? Can you see how she's nosed it across and it's more dirt than it is grass in that area?
Yes, yes.
So if you're looking, this is all ripped up and tore up. Where if you look this way, you can see it's green, beautiful. And what's happened is that this pig, because she was ready to have piglets, needs more nutritional value than just our normal growing pigs. She was affected first. So she started tearing it up, looking for those extra minerals, which is telling us, okay, she's not getting enough. And if you're not getting enough, there has to be a reason. So again, and this isn't, just in this area, this is everywhere across the board. As the fall comes along, you're not getting those nutrients into the grasses. And like I said, normally it's September-ish that the grasses start dying. They're not getting that nutritional value. It still looks green, but it doesn't have as much as it did in the spring and in the early summer.
If you enjoyed that interview, there is a public version of that video which you can find here on YouTube. However, you won't find that clip that I just played for you where she talks about the pastures. That's because that's in the extended version. All of our interviews that we do with experts, really, I do these interviews honestly because I want to talk to these people. I want to ask them the questions. I learned so much from my interview with Jody and Dave that has helped us here on the homestead. That's all available, the full-length uncut versions for Homesteady Pioneers in the Pioneer Library. If you're a serious homesteader or you're a homestead dreamer with serious plans who actually is going to get the animals and do all this stuff, the Pioneer Library is made for you. You can click right there to become a pioneer. It's $5 a month. You can cancel anytime, or if you get it for the year, you get 2 months for free for $50. The Pioneer Library is loaded with interviews like that have helped me a whole lot here on this homestead, and they're gonna help me solve this problem. We're gonna go take Jody's advice and head into the feed room and see if we can't fix this issue that we're facing with the pigs, doing exactly what Jody said. Let's go see if we can fix it. We're back at the barn and we're heading inside to the feed room. Pigs and goats in the barn on the loose. Madness. What we're gonna do, I got a electric scale and we're going to take Jody's advice, which is in the fall, double the amount of minerals that we're giving our pigs and see if it doesn't keep them from rooting, which will tell us, A, it's nice not to have the rooting, but B, they're actually getting enough minerals, which is what we want. We want pigs with the right amount of minerals. So we're gonna weigh out how many minerals they're getting right now. We're gonna double that, and then we'll see if we can't fix this problem of grazing pigs, which aren't supposed to root, rooting. This is the bag of minerals that Jody specifically mentions in her book, Raising Pigs on Green Pastures, is a good one to give your pastured pigs. So I'm gonna measure out how much we've been giving them and then see how much we should be giving them, plus double it for the fall. Okay, I have a good measurement now of what Jody gives her pigs per pig each day in the summer. Now I'm gonna double that, and that's what we're gonna adjust for our feed now here in the fall and see if that doesn't keep our pigs from rooting, allowing them to have as much minerals as they're supposed to. Hopefully we fix this problem. You can help fix your problems diving into that Pioneer Library. There's so much knowledge in there. I know because it's interviews I've done with experts, people who have been doing this a lot longer than I have, and I get to ask all the newbie questions. You get to benefit. Hope you enjoy being a pioneer. Click right there to become a Homesteady Pioneer. $5 a month. Dive in. There's a good another Idaho pastured pig interview with Kirsten from Mouse Creek Farm. There's a lot of interviews about goats and cows. Just you can go crazy. Hours and hours of extended content that you'll only find there.